John was blind, a self-described fourth-generation pagan. John was born in the mid-30s to a single mother. Life could have been bleak for John, but he was musically gifted and dedicated himself to mastering almost 20 instruments before graduating high school. He married young and dove headlong into a music career in order to support his growing family. In the early 60s, John's career began to take off. He hooked up with an emerging pop band called the Righteous Brothers, both managing and playing saxophone for them. Life, as far as John was concerned, was pretty darn good. But as he became embroiled in the world of fame and fortune, John's marriage began to dissolve. After a show in Vegas, he received the call from his wife, Carol. She wanted a divorce. Pivotal life moments are the kinds of things we expect to see on television, acted out by beautiful people with immaculate hair and witty scripts. They're not the kind of thing we expect to happen to us in our messy real-life world. But as John headed out into the Nevada desert to mourn his impending divorce, he experienced one of those pivotal moments. He felt the presence of someone or something and burst into tears, crying out to that presence for help. When John returned to his hotel room, there was a message from Carol. She wanted to try and reconcile their relationship. It had been an act of, well, something supernatural. That moment changed the direction of John and Carol's lives forever. John drove back to California to pick up his family, and he and Carol purchased a Bible. And then they purchased another Bible. And John, who had so many questions about God and faith and what had happened to him in the desert, began the earnest search for the truth that would culminate in the founding of a new movement. We know him best as John Wimber, founder of the Vineyard movement, the same church Canyon View is part of today. John Wimber was blind, but God reached into his life and changed him. He was blind, but now he could see. And because he could see, John had to make some difficult choices for the future of his career and family. When the Righteous Brothers asked him to rejoin them for a tour with the Beatles, John realized what God required. Just like the blind man in John chapter 9 was thrown out of the synagogue and invited into a relationship with Jesus for believing. So God had removed John from the path that he had been on and set him on a new path. Touring with the Beatles was no longer an option for John. He was set free from the old life that almost cost him his family. And because of this, he was able to move on in his new life in Jesus Christ. As we take time to pose questions for each weekly segment of this John series, we like to read a question, put it on the screen where someone in your group or yourself can pause this video and take a few minutes to discuss the question together. Let's hit play again and move to the next one. Our first question centers around the story of a blind man's healing by Jesus in John 9:27. What caused the man to say, "All I know is I was blind and now I see," as he praises Jesus? John Wimber went through a period of physical darkness or blindness, but realized his true path in Jesus. Share a time when you had a "now I see" moment. How did it change the direction of your life was headed in? Okay, before we get into the last question, just a quick reminder and encouragement to keep following along in the John series study guide. The Part 2 guide is available at the sign-up desk in the lobby at church or on the John series page at canyonviewchurch.com. It's a great way for all of us to be learning together what God would have for us through his series. I personally love the daily reading segments. It's a great way to start my day reading from the Bible. All right, here we go. Last question. After their "now I see" moments, both the blind man and John Wimber faced separation and/or persecution from those who had once embraced them. What does the amount of suffering your faith has caused or not caused say about your belief in Jesus?